Hey, my name's Steve Martile, and in this video today, I'm going to talk about getting into your personal power. When you're not in your personal power, when you are in your personal power, and then I want you at the end of this video to understand the mechanics as best as I can do it in a shorter video of how you actually get from out of your personal power, right? Like when you're not in your personal power, into your personal power. And I want to explain the mechanics of how that would work, okay? So first, let me explain when you're blocked and you're not in your personal power, okay? So these are just some of the things that will happen. I had a friend of mine reach out and I said, tell me what it is that's going on, what you're challenged with. And he said, when I have limiting beliefs, when I'm comparing myself to others, when I have content information, it's not good enough for them. There are people out there doing a better job than I am. And they are more capable than I am, and I'm not taking action because there are other people doing it better than I am. So what's the point in taking action anything? So that's when you notice that when you're comparing yourself, that's the first one here. When you're comparing yourself to other people and you're putting them on a pedestal and then you're putting yourself down, you're not good enough, and you're little me. This is David Icke, by the way. I've watched a lot of his stuff. And David Icke's excellent. On Gaia TV, he's got a great series. He's always talking about little me and how that's the disease that people have, is little me. Okay? So not being good enough, comparing yourself to people that are quote unquote better than you that you are. It's all perception, right? Who's to say that? Okay, so we're going to talk about this little me versus big me and how to make the switch and the mechanics of it. When you're doing self-talk and your brain's running and your mind's saying things like you're an idiot, you're lazy, right? Just disempowering things which are not supportive of you. And when you're not taking any action, usually all these things are happening, you're usually not taking any action. You're procrastinating, right? You're procrastinating on posting content, starting a business, taking a job, asking someone to go on a date, whatever it is, you're just putting it off. Tomorrow, it'll be better tomorrow. You'll get this big awakening. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to shift this inside. Now, before I get to this, I want to talk about what is happening, the mechanics behind this. Let me share the screen. I want to share the screen with you so you can see this. So you're going to see on the screen, I'm going to have what I call the energy centers, okay? And there's one at near the bottom. It's called the solar plexus chakra, okay, or energy center. It's yellow in the diagram here. It's near your stomach area. When that energy center is blocked, what happens is, see, what we've got to understand is that each of these energy centers are like a brain. And if you haven't made the connection to this yet, I highly, highly, highly recommend you check out HeartMath. HeartMath Institute. I think it's heartmath.com. I had synchronistically, ran into their website years ago, and I started watching their videos, and everything they do is science-based. And what they discovered is that there's more signals that are coming from the heart that are going to the brain versus the brain going to the heart. So the heart is actually that organ, that energy center. It talks to the brain, and it tells the brain a lot more what to do than vice versa. A lot of people think the brain is the central command center. The heart actually is. Now, when it comes to these other energy centers, so in this case, the solar plexus, that's another brain. And it talks to your brain, right? It's sending neurons biochemically to the brain. It sends you thoughts when you feel a certain way. And then you believe the thoughts. And when the energy is blocked there, what happens is it does a lot of this self-talk that says, you're an idiot, you're lazy, whatever it is. Or it wouldn't be it would be like, I am. I'm an idiot, I'm lazy. It would say I am, right? I am. And those emotions, partly, because it could be diet as well, but those emotions that are stored as memory inside the solar plexus, let's say the stomach area for our discussion, that solar plexus, it has memory. The organs have memory. So the last time you went and tried to do something that was outside your comfort zone, the stomach's like, oh, don't do that. You're an idiot. Those people are better than you are. You're not enough. In other words, little me. And the reason that happens is because the energy has not changed in the solar plexus. It's stuck. It's blocked. with those old memories. What you want to do is you want to clear the energy so that you get into your personal power, because when it's clear, meaning there's no negative emotions, and you start, the first thing you'll notice is this, a lot of people don't realize is that your thoughts create emotions, right? And your feelings, and those feelings create actions. But this is something's a bit counterintuitive. Your emotions also create thoughts. It works in reverse as well, right? We're talking quantum. So it's not just like your thoughts create your feelings create your thoughts. And especially when the solar plexus, that area is blocked, what happens is those feelings transmute into thoughts. And that's where you start getting this self-talk and little me and not good enough and comparing yourself. It's coming from that brain, okay, that solar plexus. Now, when the solar plexus is cleared of that negative pattern, what happens is all of a sudden you're in your power. You're in your personal power, okay? And the way that looks like is you're grateful. Instead of being comparing other people and saying little me, and they're better and they have better information than I have, you're grateful for who you are and your gifts. You feel more than enough. You refer to yourself as, I call it big me, so does David Icke, but it's like the greater scale of things, unlimited, infinite intelligence, the greater cosmos. That's the real you. And you're more supportive of the body, and more importantly, the intent you have behind your goals. And you're in action because you are empowered. That's your personal power. When you're in your personal power, usually these, again, I'm going to point right to the solar plexus, is clear. So how do you clear it? Well, you've got it. Here's something you can do just out the gate. And I just want you just to be clear about this. The solar plexus is like a little brain. It fires thoughts, okay, and sends signals to your real brain that gets you to think certain thoughts. It sends those thoughts just like the heart sends signals to the brain. If it's blocked, it sends negative thoughts. If it's clear, it sends empowering thoughts. Let me say that again. If it's blocked, it sends negative thoughts. If it's clear, it sends empowering thoughts. Okay? So if it's blocked, negative. If it's clear, positive, empowering. Okay? So instead of trying to use some mind ninja, at the mind level to change the way you're thinking, initially when I was thinking about this video, I was thinking, well, why don't you just compare yourself to your clients, for example, in this case. And if your clients are a little further behind than where you are, then you'll feel more empowered. But the source of the problem is still not, we're not getting to the source, which is, it's that solar plexus. So you can use an affirmation for like an hour or days, but then it's going to come back. The old pattern is going to come back where you're like, but my information is not that good. There's people more experienced than me. Why even bother? And that's not what I want for you. I want you to be empowered. I want you to feel like, no, I am worthy. I am grateful of the skills. I need to start using my gifts. And I need more people to know this information. And when you come from that place, you're in personal power. So you got to clear that solar plexus. So how do you do it? Here's a simple way to do it. What I want you to do is, if you've watched this far, then you're probably a subscriber. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to subscribe. But what I want you to do is you just close your eyes for a minute, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to imagine in a moment, we're not going to do it yet, I want you to imagine that you're breathing air into your stomach, okay? You're going to actually see the air, you're going to feel the air, and you're going to see this air coming in a minute, and you're also going to see the light. So it's sort of like light and air is coming into your stomach, okay? And when you inhale in a minute, you're going to inhale and you're going to feel light and you're going to feel air coming into your stomach. On the exhale, you're going to breathe out through the top of your head. Okay, so let's do it together. So you're going to inhale into the stomach and then exhale at the top of the head. And then inhale light and air as best you can, and then exhale through the top of your head. And again, inhale air and light into the stomach, solar plexus. And then exhale through the top of your head. So as best you can, take another deep, deliberate breath. Inhale and exhale. Now, here's what I want you to do. If you can feel that there's fear, there's some sort of sensation in your stomach, solar plexus, then that's fine. What I want you to do is rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And 10 being very intense, 1 being nothing at all. If it's a 10 out of 10, then what I want you to do is, again, go back to breathing light and air into the solar plexus. And you're just going to breathe and then exhale through the top of the head. So you're watching the light come in, you're feeling the air in your lungs, and then you're exhaling through the top of your head. And you do that over and over. And then you're going to check in and you're going to rate yourself again. How intense is that negative pattern or that fear now? And if it went from a 10 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10, you're doing the work of clearing. And when you get it to 1 or 0, the pattern is gone. And anytime you get a negative pattern, that's what you do to clear it so that you're back in your personal power. Then all of a sudden you notice you're having more grateful thoughts, you're being grateful for your gifts, you feel more than enough, you're expanded big me, you're feeling supported by the universe, and you're in action. Okay? I hope that you found that useful, but that's the way you do it. That's one way to do it. You got to move the energy. And if it's been something that's been bothering you for a really long time, then use more intention. Be very intentional with the breath because it's energy. And move it until you feel the light and energy coming in and into your solar plexus, and then exhale through the top of your head. And if you do that a few times and you start to feel relief, you're going to feel more empowered. You're going to feel more in your personal power because that's where it comes from. It comes from the solar plexus. It doesn't come from any books. It doesn't come from any information you read online. It doesn't come from any other person except yourself. And the way that you connect with that power is first clear it and then bring in new patterns, new intentions into that energy so that you layer in and it becomes part of your memory and your cells in that energy center, in that organ, so that now you're in a new frequency, new vibration, and you're in a new timeline. Okay, I hope you found that useful and helpful. I've got a new book coming out early next year. It's called The 7-Day Manifestation Experiment, How You Control Your World. And if you want to get a copy of it, you can get on my waiting list. There's a link down below and register. And I actually have a free quantum manifestation training series that goes out to people who do register to be on the waiting list for the books. Okay, again, link down below. Thanks for watching. My name's Steve, and we'll talk to you next time.